Okay, so diving deep today, we're looking at someone very much in the spotlight, Hayden Panettiere. You know her from Heroes,
Oh, yeah.
Nashville. But we're kind of going past the headlines, you
Yeah.
know, like we've got these two articles and they're both trying to figure out, I guess, who she is really beyond just like the celebrity thing.
Yeah.
So I guess our mission today is to try and understand her story a little better.
Absolutely. And, the thing about celebrity news is it's all like, bite-sized, right? Headlines, photos. But real life is, well, messier,
Yeah.
especially with things like grief, addiction. Those are complicated.
And this first article, it kind of jumps right in with this devastating loss that Hayden went through last year, losing her brother,
Yeah.
Jansen.
Yeah.
And her words about it, it's like losing half my soul. That's
Oh.
heavy stuff.
It is. And what I find interesting is the article doesn't treat Jansen as just, Hayden's brother.
Right.
They talk about his work as an artist and actor.
Right.
He was building his own life. It's a good reminder that everyone's got their own story.
Totally. And like speaking of those little details, did you see that bit about his Instagram post
Dylan?
a few weeks before?
Right.
He passed. He'd posted this photo of Hayden giving him a haircut,
Oh, yeah.
joking how it wasn't her first time or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
It just, hits different now.
It does. Those everyday moments, they take on this whole other meaning,
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. And she's said she doesn't think she'll ever get over it. And how could you really? Makes you think about grief and how it stays with you.
It does. It becomes part of who you are. You learn to live with it more than get over it.
Yeah.
And for someone like Hayden, so public, that process is magnified.
That's a really good point. And I think it kind of leads us into the second article,
Okay.
because this one's raising some concerns about Hayden herself based on a recent interview she did. Like, people online, especially fans, they're worried about her.
Yeah.
They're commenting on how she looks in the video, how she's acting, even mentioning like slurred speech.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you see that and you want her to be okay.
It's natural to feel concerned, definitely. But it's also really easy to kind of play armchair psychologist,
We see a little snippet and we try to fill in the gaps, often with our own ideas of what grief or action should look like.
It's true.
Right. And we can't forget celebrities, they're under this immense pressure to project a certain image.
All the time.
Especially after a loss like Hayden's, that pressure to, bounce back, it's huge.
And she's talked about that pressure, actually. In the article, she mentions gaining weight really fast after Jansen died.
Yeah.
And she attributes it to the grief and stress. She even started avoiding going out. She actually uses the word agoraphobia because she was so self-conscious about how she looked.
That's so significant. Agoraphobia, it often comes from fear and anxiety, right? And for her, it seems tied to this discomfort with her body changing after such a profound loss.
Yeah, it's like her grief, it manifested physically, and then that becomes another thing to deal with. And of course, we can't ignore that she's been open about struggling with addiction, too.
And that adds another layer of complexity here. We have to remember, addiction, it's a disease. It's not a choice.
Right.
And often it starts as a way to cope with emotions that just feel too big, to numb things.
And she actually mentioned something really disturbing in one of these articles. She talks about being given, like, happy pills at a really young age to keep up this, like, perky public persona.
That is disturbing. And it just shows how insidious addiction can be, right? You have this young woman already under so much pressure being given pills to basically hide any vulnerability.
It's awful.
It speaks volumes about how messed up the industry can be, how it perpetuates these cycles.
Yeah. It makes you think about the long-term effects of growing up like that. And as she got older, the substances changed. But the cycle, sadly, it seems like it continued.
Yeah.
It's like not a straight line to recovery, is it? There's this part where she talks about hitting rock bottom,
Right.
but then kind of realizing there's always further to fall.
Yeah, that's addiction, isn't it? It's not the straight path. People want to believe that, but
It's messy.
it is. You have good periods. You think you've got it. Maybe you have for a while, but then
Something happened.
exactly, something triggers a relapse. And climbing back out of that is so hard,
Yeah.
especially with everyone watching your every move.
Can you imagine going through all that so publicly? Makes you wonder what real support even looks like in that situation.
It's a huge question, and it makes us look at how we think about addiction. This rock bottom idea, it's compelling, but it can be misleading too, right?
Yeah.
Recovery is not about finding the bottom.
It's ongoing.
It is. It takes constant work, support, understanding that there are going to be setbacks. That's normal.
Yeah. Meeting people where they're at.
With compassion, not judgment. That's the key.
Absolutely. And I think these articles, they do a good job reminding us, like, this is Hayden Panettiere.
Right.
She's talented, she's grieving, she's a mom, and she's dealing with all this while, the world's kind of got an opinion on it.
It's easy to forget. They're human beings going through real stuff.
Exactly.
So if anything, I hope people listening, they take away a little more understanding, a little more empathy, not just for Hayden, but for anyone facing these kinds of challenges.
Because we all know someone. Right. Even if we don't know the half of it.
Exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? We often only see the surface.
Yeah.